I have a migraine, so I hope these questions are not going to take me to a place where I don't want to go.
I'll try my best.
My name is Caroline LaPlatte, mother of Nerissa Olivia Wright. I am 23 years old. No, I'm 55 years old. Wow, where did the time fly? I live in Jamaica Estates, New York. I'm originally from the island of Trinidad, sister island, I should say, of Trinidad and Tobago. I have been in the United States for 33 years. As I was saying to you, these windows cannot be removed, they're landmark. If I need to renovate them, I have to get the permission of Landmark and Preservation Society. I tried to paint it to make it look a little decent until I could really afford to do the paperwork and go to get the permission from the Landmark Society. My dad lived here, I moved out. I came and I visited him, so by visiting him I could see different people coming in, more professional. I see now a lot of young couples with children. Over the years, a lot of the townhouses, brownstones, have changed hands. You're no longer the original owner. There are a lot of people who died and passed it on to their children.
And are you one of them?
I am one of them. My dad passed away and he left the house for me. Hence the reason why I am actually trying to restore it. My big concern is the displacement of people from the area who were there for many years and who sort of was able to afford their rent. A lot of these places, they had like mom and pop shops. Now you have all these little fancy corner stores and coffee and the prices for a bagel went from like 75 cents to like 250, and some of these things I know that people who lived there before can't afford, and especially people who displaced.
When I think of gentrification, what I assume it to be is basically when there's like a rundown neighborhood that isn't very well known for being popular, and then more and more people start to make changes to the neighborhood.
You can argue that it does make the living space better, but it doesn't benefit the people that were living there previously. It just makes it better for the people that come in that can actually afford living in that area.
What's your name and where do you live?
My name is Judith and I live in Harlem. I know for me personally, gentrification has impacted me in a lot of ways for the better. I remember when I was looking for an apartment in my 20s, I was living in Brooklyn, and the city at the time was a very different place. It wasn't necessarily as safe all around as it is. And I really wanted to stay in Brooklyn. However, I couldn't find anything in a neighborhood that I can afford. So I came to Harlem, and it was just on the cusp of it becoming a thing. And while it still wasn't 100% safe, it was something where I could see potential. And I think that's another big distinction of gentrification. There's always potential. I remember when I first moved to Harlem, the Lenox Lounge was open, for example. There were like historical bookshops and all these local mom and pop stores that were open, and one by one they just started closing. So that, I think, but then now you still have tourists that come and want to go to 125th and see Apollo because they think that's the only thing that's ever been in Harlem. So, you know, yeah, it kills the culture, it kills the community, but it also kills the perception of what that community actually was and is. And without people to preserve that, you know, all that good history kind of goes to waste, and it kind of falls on deaf ears.
So with an overall view on this, do you think that gentrification has been positive or negative?
That's a tough question because I have personally benefited from gentrification. It's a hard thing. I wish gentrification was more inclusive.
I think a lot of people feel a sense of people are treating them as if they don't belong here. The few people that are left, I was speaking to one lady on Saturday who knew my dad. She saw me coming out of the house and she asked me for him, and I told her he passed away in April. And she was telling me, oh, I'm so happy to see that a black family still owns their home. And she told me of an incident that she had at the laundromat. She was drying her clothes and when she looked around, this girl, this white woman, took her clothes from the dryer that was still going and put it somewhere else. And so she walked up to her and she said, are you crazy? This is my clothes. She said, well, you're taking way too long. So the lady said to her, don't you have any respect? You know, I'll tell you one thing. We blacks who have lived here for a long time need at least to be respected. You can't just, so the girl told her, well, why don't you go back from where you come from? And the lady said, why don't you go back from where you come from? I've been in this area all my life. So how dare you take my clothes out and just throw it in another dryer as if it wasn't actually in use. How could you be so disrespectful? You know, we have been in this neighborhood for a long time, and you guys are just moving in here and is acting as if we don't exist.
Like living in a fishbowl, that's kind of like what it is, gentrification, right? Like you see, if you've been in the neighborhood long enough, you see all this stuff sprouting out around you, but you're in your fishbowl. Like you keep hitting the walls and you can't get out. So it's kind of the same thing. Like you see all this opportunity around you, but it's not for you.